All right, we are live. Welcome in. I am joined by two of my great, most well-traveled friends to break down and discuss this brand new golf.com list of the top 100 golf courses in the world. Firstly, I'm joined by Dave. How are you doing, my friend? Welcome to the pod. I'm excited to talk to you about this.
Andy, good to see you as always.
Mike, I can't wait to talk about this with you. How's it going, my man?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me.
Of course. We're going to get to, there's like a number of bullet points that I want to hit in terms of some of the things that I found most interesting about this new list that came out. But first, to kind of qualify both of you, why I wanted to have this conversation with you guys. David, you've played how many of these top 100 golf courses?
On the current list, I've played 97. Not that I'm keeping track, and I've been fortunate to have finished, I think, six of these lists.
What are the
So,
three? What are the three you have it on the current list?
uh, Cabot St. Lucia, uh, Lofoten Links in Norway, and St. Patrick's Links in Ireland, and I need to get to all of them. I've been meaning to get to St. Patrick's for some time now. It's just only so much time.
Right.
But yeah, they're all on my radar and places I really want to get. And Mike's played a couple of those, so uh, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
we'll fill
cool.
in the gaps. Mike, what are you at for out of the 100 on this current list?
94 on the current list. Actually, when this list came out, it added a course I will now have to go see where, but the previous list, I was at 95. So I have not completed any of the list, but on all the lists, I'm around anywhere from 92 to 95 that have been played. So I got to get a couple done in the coming year.
Speaking of well, basically just like the new additions to the list. I mean, I think in at least in the people that I've spoken to in my circle and some of the stuff that I've seen on Twitter and stuff, one of the biggest talking points, surprises, maybe not a surprise to you guys, but certainly a surprise to some, was the debut of Childress Hall at 73, which kind of correlate because their top 100 US list is somewhat correlated, obviously, to the world list. So
Mhm.
Childress Hall debuting at 73 is kind of synonymous with it already being like almost a top 30 golf course in America. You guys have both been, um, Dave, what are your thoughts on Childress Hall? Do you think this opening is deserved? Are you surprised by it? Did you expect it to debut this high?
You know, something that's interesting that you're saying in terms of how the courses correlate. My understanding with kind of how the rankings are done with the math. Sometimes it every cycle things kind of get moved around. Like Old Town is 32 in the US, but it's the 40th or 41st course listed American course in the world. Childress Hall is fantastic. Doak had an amazing canvas to work with. The setting's gorgeous. He does a really nice job of kind of creating width, but creating a lot of angles off the tee that kind of hide some of that width. It's challenging. Mike and I went together. We got a couple spins around it. Everything about the place is world class. Green complexes, just like something you'd expect Eric Iverson and Tom Doak to do, and
By the
all
way,
those guys do
there's
is yeah,
two golf courses, right? So the
right.
the the one that debuted in the top 100 is the Doak one, which you're talking
The upper,
about, right?
yes,
And then the lower is the Gil Hanse one.
yes.
Is that completely open as well?
It just opened. Mike and I have a friend who went down and played it and loves both of them. Uh, but it'll be interesting to see, which ones people prefer. Their styles, although they're both kind of minimalist, modern architects, their styles are a bit different. We got to see it was growing in when we were there. There's different bunkering. And definitely different style golf courses there's some cool things on the Doak course. You can play from a lot of different tees. There's a couple of holes, some par threes where there's 2 greens. So it's really cool. The 10th hole is super unique. Maybe I'll turn it over to Mike. He can talk about that. But really cool place, and all those guys do are hit home runs. So props to them
I
and
think
the team behind it.
Yeah, I think it was when we were on our last golf trip together last November. I think it was both of you guys that put it on the map for me. And I remember you saying, Dave, something like, this is supposed to be potentially Doak's Sandhills, right? Where it's very remote. It's nowhere near an ocean. I know it's on like a river, but it's nowhere near like a big dramatic body of water. And if you look at Doak's highest ranked golf courses, like what are thought of as his masterpieces, right? It's like Pacific Dunes and Tar Edy, right? And both of those are like big, bold, dramatic properties on an ocean. And then you look at Core Crenshaw, kind of Doak's modern, it's like not necessarily that they go head and head, but they're very much thought of the same era. You look at Core Crenshaw's highest ranked course, and it's Sandhills, right? Not on an ocean, no frills, just pound for pound, like that's the Core Crenshaw masterpiece. Mike, do you think that Childress can, not necessarily saying right now it's on the level of something like Sandhills, but do you think it has the potential to be thought of for something, to be thought of as Doak's something like that? Do you think it's that good? Do you think it has that staying power?
That's a tough question. It's early. The potential is absolutely there. What's remarkable about it is I've played a lot of golf in Texas, and I was skeptical that Texas had land that could garner a World 100 golf course. There's great golf in Texas, don't get me wrong, but the land is not as appealing as other places. And when David and I finally got on the property, when we went through the gate, there's this immediate change in the land, that you're coming in from Childress out to the golf course, where um, thousands of years of sand being blown up from this river have created these massive dunes that are ideal for a golf course. These red sands. What's the name of the river, David? It escapes me at this time.
Red River.
The Red River, that runs dry most of the time and has red silt sand. And the land is remarkable. In fact, I believe there's even discussion that the owner could build another 1 or 2 more golf courses out there. There's thousands upon thousands of acres that just have beautiful land that could build, that are idyllic for golf courses. And so um, everything kind of takes time to gain momentum. And so I think Childress has time on its side. I loved it. There are so many fun holes. It plays very firm and fast. The conditions were near perfect when we were there. It has these unique mesquite trees that almost look like you're playing Mario Brothers with the ghost trees, that are all over the golf course that give it some mystique. There's heroic shots all over the golf course. Mr. Doak included a lot of blind, so there is massive amounts of width, but he hides it very well with blind shots that make you feel uncomfortable, with what angle and how much you want to chew off. So he did a masterful job. And it is if you have a chance to get out to Childress Hall, I would say run, take the opportunity. It is also a world-class facility and service. The people there are just angelic. We had some of the greatest service I've ever had in golf. The food was fantastic. And I think David and I went away feeling like, man, not only was the golf course great, but the people were just angelic to us.
And yet Yeah, well, I mean, I was going to ask about Fall Line next, David, but is there anything else on Childress you want to touch on before we kind of
Yeah.
compare and contrast to Fall Line?
Mike, I can't remember if it's the Red River or it's an offshoot of the Red River. So I'm terrible with this stuff, but it is massive. The scale of it, the views. I would say, Mike, maybe Ballyneal would be more of Tom's comp to Sand Hills, but
Right.
maybe that's a bad comp. I mean, I love Ballyneal. Mike can speak to it a lot more. I don't want to get on a tangent. The cool thing with these destination clubs are when the people who build these take an interest in the community, and then the communities take a lot of pride in these projects, and you feel that a lot of these places, they're in remote areas, and you get a lot of local people working there, and it creates a really cool sense of community. And this is something this is there's a lot of these projects popping up, and the people that are doing them continue to, kind of one up each other, or set new bars. I guess the bar keeps getting raised is the answer. A lot of clubs continue to raise their bar that are already, operating.
And Fall Line probably falls into that category of like, to be honest with you guys, and Dave, thank you for clarifying for this for me. I didn't realize it wasn't eligible because I was surprised. And when I say eligible for this world ranking, because I haven't, at least in the people that I talk to in my circles, and I know that you guys would echo the similar sentiment because you just got back, but the other golf course is it fully open? Is Fall Line fully open? Both of the two golf courses are playable, right?
Both of the golf courses are open, and not only are they open, they're as near perfect conditions as one can get in a golf course. It was quite remarkable. Some of the buildings aren't yet completely finished, but the golf courses are done, and they're very, very good. David and I came away similar to Childress, just on cloud nine at how much fun we had for those 3 days that we were there. And OCM has created two very different golf courses. One is a sandbelt kind of style with bunkering that goes right up to the greens, very similar to what you'd see at Royal Melbourne or Cosmopolitan, um, uh, or
Commonwealth,
sorry, Commonwealth, excuse me, or Metropolitan. Excuse me,
Metropolitan, yeah.
I put both names together, but and then you have something that you'd see out of Heathland Golf outside of London, and they've done a very good job in trying to bring those style of golf to South Georgia.
David, did you feel similarly about Fall Line? Do you think that not even, I mean, I'm curious where it falls in the next rankings, but everything I've heard is that it's on the level of Childress, if not
Yeah.
higher.
All these projects are different, Andy. Um, uh, the Fall Line has two golf courses and a full short course that they dug out a quarry. They're sand quarries, in the area, and they basically created a quarry that you play around on the short course. But the Fall Line golf courses, albeit different, or will very much be in the conversation. But like Blackham took two spins around both. I only got one spin around the west, which is the Sandbelt style course, but some of the long views on the East Course were captivating to me. I have a love for Heathland golf, as does Mike. That just really enamored me to that golf course, and I just wanted to keep playing it. But both fantastic, really golf courses that are different, and you have different fairway grasses. You have Zoysia on the Heathland course, and then you have an ultra dwarf, a Bermuda grass on the west course.
And
And
the
it's cool.
West is super firm.
Super fun. It's really
Like-
cool because Blackham and I have both played some OCM stuff down in Australia, and to see them continuing to evolve and do different stuff was really cool. But Mike, what were your thoughts kind of on those golf courses? I'll turn it over to him.
You know what surprised me was how good OCM is at golf course design. They hit home runs, and they are, you know, with Core and Crenshaw in the twilight of their career. I don't know how much longer Tom Doak's going to be doing this. There are great architects coming up, and OCM is now one of them. They have planted themselves firmly with what they did with the two courses at Fall Line of becoming one of the leading architectural firms in the world. And so I'm excited that we have some other architects now in the game that people that want to build golf courses in the future can pick from, and OCM will be a popular choice, I believe. I was very surprised. One of my favorite things about Fall Line is when you go to the first tee, there's a massive putting green. It's one of the biggest putting greens I've ever seen, and they use the practice putting green as the first tee for both courses. So the east and the west are right next to each other on that putting green. And so you're maybe 50 yards, David, from starting on the west versus starting on the east on that putting green. And then as you tee off, you go into these two different adventures of golf styles, of a sandbelt and a Sunningdale-esque style golf course, a Heathland style golf course, which is quite remarkable. And you see it instantly once you get into the fairways of each respective course. I've never seen anything like that. I preferred the East. Heathland golf is one of my favorite in the world, and so it made me feel right at home. But the West is really, really cool. And I think our takeaway from the gentleman that we went with was that more people will probably like the West. But the East was just had some quirky English feel to it. Really interesting golf holes. Some of the most beautiful par threes, not just in Georgia, but anywhere in the world. So if you get a chance to go to Fall Line, just like I said with Childress, you should run. It was one of the best 3 days that I've had. I even caught a couple fish off of, what was it, the 15th.
Don't they have like
tee
a
box.
full hunting? Like
Yeah.
there's a bunch of
Both
other
of these
stuff
are
going on there.
sporting clubs,
Right.
so
Yeah.
that is the big thing. These are all sporting clubs. They have different shooting, fishing, otherwise. So one thing I'll say that I really like about OCM, Mike and I both picked this out, is the big thing with modern golf is width.
Right.
There was
Yes.
not. So there was some width, but the placement of their bunkering in the fairway is so good that it's not as much that it may appear. And then furthermore, a lot of these hazards, Mike blows it probably 40 past me off the tee.
40 past most people, I would say.
Yeah. So, but a lot of these hazards from the same tee box, they only have one tee box, right? And they'll move it up. It may say 7,000 or 66 from the back, but they move the tee around, and these some of these same hazards were coming into play for both of us, or different hazards on the same hole. Kind of both came into play for us. Either me kind of being, reaching it, or Mike hitting it over it, or having to play to different angles. That was really something that took away. The placement of those fairway bunkers on their golf courses is so good.
I have never been on a tee for a par 4 or par 5 in the last couple of years thinking about what club to hit and what line to take as much as I did at Fall Line. It was very refreshing that you didn't have driving range wide fairways there. There was width, It was not, and the other thing I liked is if you got off the golf course a little bit, you could always hack it back into play. You could find your ball. You weren't searching constantly. Their native grasses are very good, but you have to be thoughtful in what you're doing off the tee. And I think to some degree that has been lost even by some of our modern great golf courses that we really love. Some of those namesake golf courses that we can think of right off the top of our head that have been designed in the last 30 years. There's massive width, not so much with OCM. You have to be a little bit more careful, and that was very refreshing. I'm glad David pointed that out.
I fully think this is where OCM levels up and gets talked about as, I'm not going to say like Gil Hanse or Court Crenshaw or Doak, but I think they start getting some of those jobs too, because there's two things that are heavily working in OCM's favor in the next year. Not only do they have Fall Line and the corresponding hype around that golf course, where I really, not just from you guys, like genuinely, I can't remember a time where there was a more unanimous, at least from the people that I've spoken to, praise of a place or a project or excitement around it than I've heard about Fall. I started hearing about this 2 years ago, like randomly at a member guest from one of the guys who was a founding member, and he showed me pictures of it. This is 2 years ago, like when they were starting very early on in some of their construction project. And I remember just thinking he was very humble about it, but he was like, trust me, like we've got something really, really special here in terms of the land and the concept for the property. But then the other project that OCM has received unanimous praise for was their renovation of Medina number 3. And that golf course is hosting the President's Cup this year. So they really changed a lot about Medina. Like this was far more of a renovation than a restoration. Like it has 5 brand new golf holes. And Medina number 3 was thought of as like a very monotonous Tom Bendelow design that was falling out of favor on all the less. And then it jumped right back into favor where I think it just missed. I think it was 121. They put out like the 50 golf courses that just missed the cut. But I think the combination of Fall Line and Medina getting to be on somewhat of the world stage for the President's Cup, I think that's going to elevate OCM into like getting a lot of those jobs. And we have my beloved Stanwich's short course opening up in the next year, which I know, which maybe will make Dave change his mind about Stanwich at
I
some
love
point.
Stanwich and the people. And it's a really cool place. So this is interesting. I'm actually, there's only so much time, and I really wanted to see what was done at Medina number 3. I just It's just, only so much time. That's high on my list next year to get to. So
I was gonna, this is like kind of relating to what we've been talking about with
mhm,
all the hype and the buzz surrounding
mhm,
Childress and Fall Line and then the super high debut for
mhm.
Childress. But I always think about this with Les. Like, do you think that there should be some sort of trial period when a golf course first opens up? Because we talked about this a little bit as it pertained to Tree Farm and what happened with the last US top 100 list, where it seems like golf.com's modality is, hey, if it's open for members to bring guests, it's completely fair game. Like it is fair game for our less. And if Raiders get invited at any point, even if the golf course is half open, then it's fair game to be rated and included on our list. And with a golf course like Tree Farm, you know, that's a golf course like many new golf courses. It probably takes some time to settle in. Tree Farm's still improving, right? Um, and a lot of these places, as soon as they're 50%, 75% ready, they open because they need to start making money. And then over the next 2 to 3 years, they will really become the fully realized version of that golf course and the golf course that it's supposed to be. Mike, do you feel like Do you feel like there should be some sort of trial period, or do you agree that as soon as it's fair game, as soon as it's open, it's fair game to be rated and thought about just like any other golf course that's been around for 100 years?
My opinion is if the club is willing to have guests then and raters, then it's fair game. It actually it hurt a lot of times. It can backfire on the club if they feel like they have something great, but they bring people in a little too early
Right.
and it's not ready. It can backfire. One of the examples is the first time I went to Cap Rock, it was just barely open and none of their facilities were done. And I have to admit, I missed it. I didn't love it. I only spent a day there, played 36 holes, and then got out of there. And I talked to some friends who got there about a year after I did, who absolutely loved it. And so I felt like I missed it. And so I went back, and man, I must have got it on a bad day, or my mind wasn't right, because what I saw the second time out for 2 days was substantially different than what I recalled, what I remember. So I just think it can cut both ways. We just went to Fall Line. It's brand new.
That's
One of the
perfect.
courses a year open, and then one is just brand new open. And we had a great time. And I came away thinking that was an amazing experience. And then I've been to other places where I haven't had a great experience. So when do you make that defining distinction of when a course can be rated? 2 years, 3 years, 6 months? I just think it should be at the club's discretion, and it's at their decision on when they feel it's ready. So that's my opinion, and my
Yeah.
opinion doesn't mean a lot.
Yeah. As my grandmother would say, David, you know just enough about to be dangerous about way too much and enough about nothing. I know a little bit of the workings of this, and I know some of them. I think, wait and coordinate it with the clubs, and then other ones do things differently. I think uh, ultimately it's just about trying to letting it happen as organically as possible, I think, and then just because it is subjective. There's no doubt. You could look at the painting behind me and love it, or you could hate it, and that's up to you, right? That's all in the eye of the beholder. Generally, there's some sort of consensus among people that kind of have a discerning eye and have seen hundreds of different golf courses, if not thousands, that would be considered. But yeah, that's kind of my thought. I love Cap Rock. I just think that the routing of it, how it works its way into the canyon and back out and then back in, and the green complexes are some of my favorites that Gil and Jim did. I think the place is spectacular. But all this stuff, they just keep raising the bar. It's they're getting these great sites now, and people are doing amazing work on these sites. So
Andy, I think the greater risk is when something opens that's new, is what I just experienced at Cap Rock, is that if you just see it once and for one day, it's not really enough.
Right.
You really need to see a golf course with on 3 or 4 different days with different pins and different tee boxes. When I went to Taraiti this past year, I got to see it 3 days in a row, and they had different pins and different tee boxes. And on 2 of those days, it was like I was playing a totally different golf course, because they have so many different tee boxes and different areas they can put pins, that I'd get to a hole and I'd almost think, did I play this yesterday? And that was what was so remarkable about the experience at Taraiti, is that they can set up the golf course so differently from a day-to-day experience and based off the winds. And so that's the greatest risk I think there are with Raiders. It's not that it's too early, it's that, do you get enough looks? And so maybe there is an argument that it should take some time, 2 years, 3 years, for let people see it. But again, I think it should be left up to the club of when they want to have their rating be done by whatever respective periodical is doing the list.
yeah, and look, unless enough people, you know, go to something, it doesn't even matter, right? For the most part, is my understanding. Something I'll say about what Mike said. I also believe I got to see something 2 or 3 times, or walk it again, or it's, you don't want to take forever, but you've got to see it multiple times. And Mike, in our travels and in other travels I know he's done, he really makes a point of trying to see all the stuff multiple times because he's just so into it and so into making sure he doesn't miss anything and taking it all in. And maybe there's a course in Japan that has 2 different sets of greens, and hey, I want to definitely make sure I play both sets. He's really good at that. So and
And
that takes a serious commitment. It really does when traveling, because there's so many things that we want to see that may be under the radar stuff that aren't even under consideration for any sort of us trying to play a list. But like, hey, I heard this place is really cool in Southwest England or on the Kent coast. You've got to see this golf course. You should go to Lip Hook or something, right? There's tons of other stuff that we love to see besides just hitting these
right,
courses like that.
right. It also seems like there is like this kind of micro trend that golf courses, when they first open, there's so much excitement because you're hearing about the project for so long. And then they get a big debut like Childress Hall or Old Barnwell debuting at like 50 on the US list. Lido opening really, really high. Caprock, as you guys mentioned, is another example of a really strong opening. And then some of the other golf courses that were built in the last 5 to 10 years, this is kind of speaking to what David was saying about raising the bar. Like some of the other golf courses that opened in the previous 10 years to this new wave, like a Hoopy maybe, or Stream Song, they aren't the cool kids anymore. And so there's a new flavor of the week. So you see those fall, like a Hoopy dropped 18 spots on this list to make room for something like Childress, perhaps. And then it really takes like 5 to 10 years to really figure out what I think people actually think the best and the consensus is. Like maybe in 5 years, people start saying, oh, wait a minute, are we sure that Childress and Fall Line are better than, I don't know, some of the golf courses at Bandon Dunes, right? I think it takes some time because there's so much excitement around a new opening. And then the golf courses from like the previous 5 to 10 years, they fall in favor of the brand new stuff. And then like 10 years down the road, there becomes more of a deliberation about like what was really the best.
I think it can cut both ways, though, Andy. You look at Friar's Head. Friar's Head was not highly rated when it first came out. It made the list, but now
And then
look
it
at where
kept
it is.
jumping.
It kept jumping. Tara Edie's done the same thing. Sand Hills wasn't, was in the top 100 list, but now it's top 10 in the world, and it has
Yeah.
staying power there. So it can cut both ways. And so it's hard. I hear this argument all the time: when is appropriate? And I don't think there's a great answer. And I know one thing: uh, these magazines, these lists, they love to have new courses come in because it gets people talking.
Right.
And that's what this is about. David said it. It's subjective. I love when these lists come out because I get to talk about architecture with my
So
buddies.
fun.
Yeah.
And I'm a nerd on this, and so it's just an opportunity to talk golf. And so I'm grateful for them, even though no list is perfect. But some lists are better than others.
Well, that's why
Yeah.
at the golf.com, like the way that they do it in buckets, I think is so much better than like if you were to systematically rank a golf course 1 through 10.
Yeah. So I want to say 2 things. Number one, this is the second time that Caprock was eligible the last time because it was in the 101 to 126, which is great how they did that, because in case people were like, well, what's the next one after 25? They included it. So that was really cool. But Caprock was just outside. And then talking about Bandon, one of the great things about Bandon is, to people that have certain takes, they may universally think that Pacific Dunes is best because of the way Doak routed the course. But you could talk to 20 people, and you would have one that likes each, that would have a different favorite, and you could cover all 5 courses. Some people Sheep Ranch would be their favorite, some people Old Mac, some people Bandon Dunes, some people Pacific Dunes, some people Bandon Trails. And that's really cool. And that's, again, speaks to the subjectivity and speaks to the quality of those golf courses and what they did there.
Yeah. I yeah, I mean, I completely, to echo what you guys were saying about this list. I love talking about this stuff, even if I know there are a lot of people that don't believe just in the concept of like ranking a golf course compared to another golf course, just 1 through 10, because so many golf courses are like attempting to do different things. And so how do you compare like a golf course that was built for championship style golf to host a US Open to a golf course like, I don't know, Sedge Valley, that's like a par 67 that is kind of like almost the antithesis of that in terms of what it's trying to accomplish and the people that it's catering to. I want to act because one of the bigger questions that actually selfishly pertains to me, because I'm thinking about with my buddies over the next, I would say, year and a half, hopefully in 2026, to make another trip to the British Isles. And I know that you guys, because we haven't dove deep into it, but I've asked you guys a similar question before last time I was playing golf with you guys. But you look at the breakdown of like the British Isles countries, and in this list, there's 13 from Scotland, 10 from England, 2 from Northern Ireland, 4 from Ireland, so Southern Ireland. Mike, if you were arguing for not even necessarily like the logistics of what makes most sense as a golf trip, but just in terms of, you were making the argument of like, this region just has the pure best concentration of golf course architecture. Is it Heathland style for you? Is it England?
It's England. There's a term that we use as golf course architect nerds of B-sides, which means pretty much courses that didn't make the top 100 list. We call those the A-sides, and then there are the B-sides. And England has the deepest list of B-side golf anywhere in the world. Long Island could be argued.
I was arguing
part of
that
New
with
York.
Brian Schneider.
You could argue upstate New York as well, but White Plains area. But I think the London area, for about probably 100-mile radius, is just so deep with fantastic golf. It would blow your mind. And then what is so awesome about Heathland Golf is the quirky charmness of it. There are so many holes that you will play that you will never see again, that will just blow your mind with how fun they are and creative they are, and how they use space in different styles to create golf course architecture. That's, if someone's asking me what is the best golf trip in the UK, I think it's the Heathland and Costa Kent experience, playing the A-sides around London, going in down and playing Rye, going over and playing Royal St. George's, Royal Cinque Ports. That is the best golf experience I think there is to have. And then you get to go and hang out in London a little bit as well, which is one of my favorite cities on earth. So Americans just fly into London to go to south of Ireland, to go to Northern Ireland, to go to Scotland, and they miss out on an amazing golf adventure. And I'm okay with that. I hope that stays that way, because those golf courses are easy to get on because Americans aren't rushing to them. So I hope this stays a secret, even though I've been blasting it to friends and on podcasts in times past.
You know, it's so interesting. It's northern England. It's like the Liverpool, Manchester area where the rota courses are that everybody wants to go play.
Like Royal
And
Liverpool, yeah.
Hoylake, Lytham, and Birkdale,
Birkdale.
Yeah.
and there's good stuff around there as well. Formby, Hillside, S&A, and there's some nice places you can stay. There's the Vincent up in Southport, and then down south there's a hotel called the Titanic that a lot of people like. I think in Liverpool, and you can, and those are great. But there's just something endearing to me about these courses, these Heathland style courses, and it's the whole experience too. The welcoming, how welcoming the people are. They a lot of them have carvery lunches, which are a big thing for me. And it's the whole experience. And you can play, if you embrace, if you like foursome golf, where in the rest of the world, or at least in the UK, it's we in a match, and so much in the US, it's I in a score. And but if you want to get a second spin around some of these places and play foursomes golf and really make a day of it, yeah, it's wonderful. There's so much depth, and there's so much stuff that
And variety, right? Like that
yeah.
was Brian Schneider's argument when we were kind of comparing Long Island to England. And what Long Island can't compete with is the variety. Like Royal St. George's and Sunningdale, two completely different styles of golf courses, right? And you're not going to get that stark of a contrast on Long Island. Like Shinnecock and NGLA and Friars Head, they kind of look like each other, right? Like they're golf courses that aesthetically look somewhat similar, whereas there are true, like you are in the forest, Heathland style golf courses, and then golf courses like Royal St. George's, which is a links golf course with big, huge dunes and like on the open rota.
Yeah, you sold it for me. I want to go back right now. So it's just the architecture that they had to have when these courses were being built at the turn of the century and into the 30s. They didn't have this machinery, and so they had to be creative. And those architects were masterful in finding routings and finding creative ways to create golf course interest and they're all home runs, and it's so deep. You have, everyone knows of Sunningdale, they know of Swinley Forest, St. George's Hill. Those are what I would call the big three clubs that you have to see. But then you have the likes of Woking, Lip Hook, you have Parkstone, you have, if you go up north, you can go and see Woodhull Spa,
Yeah.
or on your way you have it's escaping me at this time.
Ganton, you have Ganton, you have
Ganton.
Allwoodley, which is Mackenzie's first. You go towards the coast, and you have one of my favorites, Brancaster, Royal
Oh,
West Norfolk, with all the sleepers. I mean, there's so much good stuff in and around that area. And then we didn't even mention Walton Heath, which has
Yeah.
hosted major golf. It's or serious tournament golf, and has two golf courses as well. So
Dave, the biggest riser on the list this year was Sanquin Bay in China. Can you talk a little bit? Because I know you've been. I don't know, Mike. I don't know if you've been as well, but
we went together.
okay. So
shocking.
okay, so talk about Sanquin Bay a little bit and golf in China, because this is just like not a golf culture that I'm familiar with whatsoever.
The coolest thing, I'll just say one thing that I love about that place. The people, everything else. It is a severe piece of property that my understanding is Bill, they convinced Bill to come back again, Bill Core, and look at it, and because the first time he said the property was too severe. But let's talk about the golf course first, and then I'll tell the story. Um, it, it, no, sorry. Okay, the coolest thing about that place is all these courses in Asia have, or Korea, South Korea, and China have chairmen who are like the owners or the presidents. They run the clubs, and the chairman requests that everyone turn their phone in. And so someone comes out with this nice wooden box that's lined with red felt. They open the box and they're standing on the tee. And, whoever the starter is or the GM or whatever, the chairman requests that you leave your phone so you can focus on the golf course and your surroundings. But if you'd like to have a phone, you can bring out your iPad or a phone. It's not about the picture things. They just want you to enjoy the golf course. And there's a couple places where you stop for refreshments. And if you really want your phone and need them to bring it to you, they offer to. No one in our groups did. And then when you finish and you come out of this really cool cave up the escalator, someone standing there with the box open with your phone. So that's not about the golf course, but that's just something really cool about that
And the
place.
food. You talked about the food a lot last time when we were in Western New York earlier this summer.
Yeah, I thought I was eating peppers and onions and it was tripe and it was delicious. But Lazy Susans everywhere. Really, really cool place to be adventurous with the food. But so that's an interesting contrast. So there's so much wind on that property that the width, you have to have width for the balls to to be able to make the course playable, and Bill Core made it work. It's past Palom, it's on the water, and I'll let Mike speak to the architectural side of it a little bit more than me, since I seem to be so consumed by the food and their phone policy that's so cool.
Well, the best part of a golf course architecture is that you're going to really neat places in the world. And so to go to Hainan Island, which is essentially the Maui of China, to go and play golf is an adventure in itself. Just figuring out the logistics to get there is complicated, and the experience of doing that was fun. I remember we were picked up that morning and there was a little bit of a delay, and the bus driver went into the ocean and caught fish. And when I got into the bus, there were 4 filleted fish just in the bus, and we ended up having those for lunch, and they were delicious. And I've never experienced anything like that in golf course culture. And so that's the best part of these travels is yes, the architecture is wonderful, but the people and the experiences you have are tremendous. And if you go to Shanking, you're going to have some really memorable experiences. I think what Bill Core did at Shanking Bay is absolutely remarkable. It is a difficult piece of land. It's not a sandy site. It's a very severe coastline site. And he built a fantastic golf course. It's fun, it's firm, it's fast. They have, as David said, pass Palom, complete 100% pass Palom on every part of that golf course, from tee boxes to fairways to greens to rough. And it's a gorgeous setting. And there are golf holes there that you will never see anywhere else in the world. The bunkering is fantastic, and the routing is extremely interesting as you walk around. And you can walk the property. It's not so extreme that you can't walk it. They do offer golf carts, but David and I walked it both days, And if you have a chance to get there, I would say go. Bill Core did a marvelous job with the wind. He was there for quite a bit, and he figured out how to route the golf course based off of the prevailing winds. You actually close with 3 drivable par 4s, which are really fun, and it makes for a fun ending to a match.
They were
And you're
drivable for you. I was hitting like hybrid into 18. It's I couldn't carry the corner, but yeah, no, it's cool.
And he uses this wall that was built, thousands of years ago, throughout the golf course. It's on the logo. And it's just a very picturesque, fun golf course and really neat experience. If you have the chance to go, you need to run. It's one to be had.
There's some deep chasms in the property that they work around. There was changes to 17 where they had to bring it inland and made it shorter. It used to be a longer hole, and there's talk about bringing it back closer to the coastline. But you have this significant downhill 16th hole where you can get in the front bunker or drive the golf hole, and then 17 a little different. Again, they had to shorten the hole, raise green. I'm hitting wedge in. I guess Blackham can get it close, and then 18 is this sharp dog leg, almost like a cape hole
Over a
with the
wall.
chasm and over a wall. And the wall comes into play on some of the other holes higher on the property as well. But yeah, just unbelievably cool property. Extremely severe, but he worked it brilliantly, and that's why it's considered, by the people that decide. Now it's in the top 50 now, Andy, or just outside 60.
Yeah, it went 30. It went 31 spots to
64.
64. Yeah. 64. So it was barely in the top 100 last lesson. Now it's making its way up to 64. Last
It's interesting. Real quick, and it's interesting on 17. There was an oceanside shorter par 4, and apparently the government, the Chinese government, didn't like how close the golf hole was to the ocean, and so they just started planting trees. The government came in and started planting trees on the fairways, and then so that, because when that happened, it fell out of, I believe, Golf Magazine's World Top 100. But what they've done there, I don't know what David's thoughts are, but I thought they created a very good hole. It's only probably 50 yards further inland, and it's still right. You can still see the ocean right there. You can see where the trees were planted, and Bill Core went out and did the club built a very nice hole. Core has not been back since they planted the trees. He plans to come back this summer, I believe, but they did a very good job in completing that golf course with a difficult circumstance.
And I think Mike and Andy, I think it was in the high 30s at one point, and then dropped out. They may have even pulled it because of the changes they were doing, and then wanted to reintroduce it with the new 17th hole. But that's one that I think rose, and you may see it continue to rise as it continues, as people get there, see the changes, and continue to fall in love with a really unique golf course. To me, the nice thing about this list is when different things are represented, areas, golf courses that show different styles and uniqueness, like some of the stuff in Japan is very unique, so that there's a nice mix, instead of just saying, every golden age rainer should be considered. Not to say that there aren't some unbelievable golden age rainers, which there are, but
I really feel Asia's underserved on all lists.
I know you were raving about Tokyo.
Japanese golf, I think we talked about maybe a bachelor trip or something like that for you, Andy, in the near future, what you could do. I know David and I agree on this. Maybe the best guys golf trip in the world is
It's
Japan.
Tokyo. Really?
It is. It
It's gonna be a
is.
tough sell for
insane.
my buddies in New York, but it's a little easier for me
Insane.
in LA.
Tokyo. So Tokyo, the Netherlands, basing
The
in
Netherlands has
Amsterdam.
the Netherlands has 2 golf courses in the top
There's
100.
and there's Eindhoven, Noordwijsk, Kennemer.
Yeah.
I didn't play it, but Bernardus, is that it? That's the modern one where they played the Dutch Open. I've been there twice to play golf. The golf there is fantastic.
I'm almost assuredly we'll have to do a part 2 because I got to maybe 30% of the things that I wanted to talk to you about. But the answer to this might be Tokyo for you, Mike. But the last question I want to ask each of you is, what's a golf course that is not in the top 100 that you think is deserving of being in there, or that hasn't maybe gotten as much shine by some of the predominant ranking lists, but you really would advocate for as a place that's super, super special?
So I'm going to give you 2, and on one I'll be very brief. It was previously on the last list, Royal Cinque Ports. I
just
think
fell out.
just fell out. I think
Yeah.
it's like 103.
Yeah.
But I don't know why that's not on any world top 100 list. That golf course is remarkable. Green complexes are outstanding, always in great condition, and you'll see stuff there that you don't see anywhere else. It's on the ocean. It's had an Open. In fact, the only reason the Open went to George's is because there was a massive flood on Royal Cinque Ports in that year, and so they had to push it to another golf course, and George's held it, and it's retained that right ever since. But I think Royal Cinque Ports is handily a world top 100 course, in my opinion. Now, I don't know. I'm just one. This is one opinion, and my opinion doesn't mean a lot. But one course that breaks my heart, that gets really close every year and never seems to break through, is Tokyo Golf Club.
115, I believe.
It in Allison, it has every single hole has 2 greens, and many of the holes have varying tee boxes. You From day to day, that golf course can look completely different. Those Japanese red pines are just stunning. It looks like, to me, like a Quaker Ridge or a Wingfoot in just outside of Tokyo. The conditioning is fantastic. It's fun. It's challenging, and the concept of a 2 green system with multiple tee boxes, with almost endless variations of how you can set that golf course up, is remarkable, and I just don't understand why it doesn't make these world lists. And then
What's
the
the hole,
membership.
Blackham? Is it the 4th hole, the par 3, where you can come off the green at 2 different places, and then you go to the different hole tee boxes that play from different angles? So it doesn't. The routing still works because you're just walking off the green from 2.
Yeah,
Is it the 4th hole? I'm blanking.
there
7th hole.
there
It
are
may be.
multiple holes like
I don't
that.
remember. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the way that's done. It's not the same tee box. It's to different greens necessarily. Like, you're coming off greens at completely different angles, which is stuff that is being done with some of these modern golf courses as well, as we mentioned, like at Childress.
it has
So
36 greens that are all very interesting, very well designed green complexes. This isn't just. I know that back in the day they had winter and summer grasses, and that was part of the reason for doing it. But these green complexes are all intriguing, all well bunkered. It doesn't look awkward at all. It is such a fun and cool place. That's the one that breaks my heart.
David, what about you?
to me, my favorite golf course on this list, that unfortunately did not make the list, that has been on previous lists, is Royal Adelaide. Mackenzie, Brian Slonick was in there last time I was there doing some work, I believe, on the 11th hole. Something cool about these courses in Australia is they have an extra hole somewhere on the golf course, so that when they do close a hole, they have another hole you can play. Oftentimes a short par 3, but it's still an 18th hole. What's so cool about Royal Adelaide to me is, first off, all great golf courses, you either have to hit along or across a road or along a railroad. So it checks that box. And then this third hole, this drivable par 4, is one of the most unique holes. It's, you're down this chute. It's so narrow. To get the ball to slide on the green. Length means nothing in terms of like driving this hole. You just have to be accurate, but there's so many other ways to play it. And then you come back to this fourth hole where you're low, you're hitting up. There's this stand you climb up with a periscope. I mean, the bunkering, the 2 9s are very different. Just run to Adelaide. You fly in, and there's a gigantic, I think is it cricket or is it Aussie rules football? I think it's cricket stadium. And there's nothing else there. I mean, you're basically in Huntsville, Alabama with a giant stadium, and then you have this golf course that is fantastic. I love it. So that's one that a golf course I really love that I wish maybe more people would make the effort to see. But Adelaide is Melbourne, Sydney, going to Tasmania. There's a lot of stuff in those places, so maybe enough people haven't gotten there. But that's probably the one for me, Andy.
You guys haven't been to. I just thought of this because of once you started talking about that area. Have you guys seen the images and stuff on 7 Mile Beach?
Yes.
That place looks phenomenal. I don't think it was eligible for this list. I've been following that project for a bit, and it seems like it's going to be super, super strong.
Yeah, I got to try to get down there maybe this February or March.
Yeah.
I guess they had some trouble growing in the grass, but it's now open, and it looks like it's in great condition with those fescue fairways. So
Yeah.
another one. There's constantly new stuff coming up. This next top 100 list for Golf Magazine, I think there are 20 new courses that are potentially going to have an opportunity to be on the list that are going to need to be looked at. So it's
lot of new
endless
stuff. I was lucky enough to get to play some golf at St. Andrews Beach with Mike Clayton, and he was talking about it. He's excited about it. Yeah, definitely something that there's only so much time, Andy, right? But a lot of places to get to.
I'll give you my answer for the question I asked you guys. Take it with a grain of salt, coming from somebody who's played 27 of the top 100, not 97. But Valley Club of Montecito, I'd love to see sneak into the top 100. I think that place is perfect. It's like my favorite walk in golf. Like I haven't played the Cathedral Mackenzie courses, right? Like your Augusta and Cypress Point and Royal Melbourne. But I've played Valley Club quite a bit and played Pasatiempo a couple times. And my takeaway just from playing those two, and I've walked Augusta. And I'd imagine it's the same at Cypress, just seeing it for the recent Walker Cup and Royal Melbourne too. It is remarkable to me how Mackenzie is able to effectively route golf courses in terms of like the walk from the greens to the tees. And Valley Club is it's a very interesting property. Like you cross a road at one point and there's kind of this like upper area that's right by the clubhouse. And then you go back down into this lower area across the road and then come back around on the backside to play, I think, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. It's brilliant. Like it's the stuff that, to your point, Mike, like it's the stuff that I absolutely didn't even like come close to noticing the first time I played it. And then the second or third time you play it, you're like, wow, this is truly magnificent. Like, I don't even know how you go about thinking of a way to route the golf course in this way that is so effective.
It's one of the
love it.
smartest. Yeah.
I love it. And I think I don't want to quote Tom, but I think he said this publicly that if there's one golf course he could play every day, it would be Valley Club.
He did say
Uh,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's one of the smartest designs I've ever seen. When you get to that third hole where the green
Mhm.
is at the base of that mound, and
Yes.
then you climb that mound and you hit off of it, that mound is used like 8 or 9 times.
Yes.
Let your hit with tee boxes and greens being placed on it. I think Tom Doak said, he said, if I had a flat piece of land, one of the first things I would do is just build a mound like they did like at Valley Club, and just
Yeah.
move around the mound. It is such a smart golf course. That's a place anybody could grow old and stay in love with the golf game until the day they die.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's amazing.
Guys, this was an absolute blast. Like I said, we'll have to do it again because there's a bunch of stuff that I left on the table that I wanted to talk to you about. But thank you guys both so much for joining me. This was a pleasure.
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Andy.
Yeah.
Happy holidays.
Of course.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.